Hey nerds, you are watching Frequency Infinity. As we were talking about John Wick 2, and the one thing that I wanted to kind of talk about before we jump into the next movie was the video game influence that possibly could have happened. I don't think he ever came out and said anything about video games being an influence or whatever, but I think it would be cool to think about how John Wick is actually more video game like, in my opinion, and I don't know, to a great video game to movie adaptation, because they took the right things from video games that you could translate to cinema. But I don't know, what do you think?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I feel like you want games to ride that fine line of you need a certain amount of repetition, because if you're trying to get, if you're trying to teach, like, it's all like the tutorials that teach you how to play, and then there's games typically have, a certain amount of repetition and then a new thing, and that's kind of, puzzles, or you gotta use a certain technique for boss battles. Mm-hmm. I feel like John Wick took pretty much all the best of the interesting stuff, and it never got boring, which I feel like a lot of movies, even movies that aren't based on video games, fall into the pit of, well,
they did the right thing. So
it's like grinding. If you like grinding, cool, but movies should not have grinding. And that's how I felt like John Wick just cut through that and said.
But he does grind.
He does grind, but it's always in a different like different set or a different batch of.
Just because I was thinking about
assassins.
The Enter the Dragon influence at the end was an awesome way to like have the end battle, with the room full of mirrors.
But it's like mirrors for the 21st century.
Yeah. So that was cool.
So nuts.
Yeah. So I felt like that's what he did. He was like the one player in a first person shooter that's just badass, and then you just get to like watch him pick stuff off and
headshot.
And the whole thing, everything was like a headshot or a knee shot,
Whoa, I'm John Wick.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what Keanu Reeves still has. He has that kind of
sardonic.
Yeah, and that kind of personality to him. I don't think he'd ever get rid of it. I don't think he needs to, though, because he's playing all these cool characters. That's
why we love him.
Yeah, I mean, are they gonna do the next Bill and Ted's?
They are supposedly starting. They've been in pre-production for a long time.
On 3?
Like on Bill and Ted 3, the script is supposedly
approaching
readiness. To be written. I mean, it's been confirmed by Reeves, by Keanu Reeves and
Alex Winters.
Yeah, Alex Winters.
Dude, I love Bill and Ted.
But it's also been confirmed by them.
I have my little blanket, and I put on the soundtrack.
It's gonna be an older Bill and Ted. Like, we have not come any closer to that future.
But they can't. Would they bring back Kiss? God gave rock and roll. You know that song?
Yeah.
You've seen Bill and Ted 2, right?
I've seen the first one.
What? You've never seen 2?
I know, it's on my list of things to do.
You've never seen Bill and Ted's 2.
I've not seen The Bogus Journey. No, I've not.
It is the best Ingmar Bergman adaptation of a film
since Love and Death.
You'll see. We should totally watch Bill and Ted's 2. Well, shit, we can't talk about this then. Anyways,
don't spoil it, but I think I do know that song is used in there.
Oh, dude. I bought that soundtrack on CD.
Kiss and Petra.
Were you alive when CDs had that big-ass plastic thing so that when people tried to steal them,
yes.
they had, stick out there like, I don't have anything. So,
yes, they had them at Sam's Club when I was a kid.
Oh, that's Sam's Club. That's right. They still have them like that.
As a teenager.
They started to put those in books.
What?
They would put those little security tags inside of books.
But the ones that are the CD, here's a CD, and then it's like a big frame.
Little strip thing.
No, it's a big piece of plastic.
It's big. Here's the CD.
You mean the one that they actually
CD.
And then it's like a square, and then another square of empty.
Dude, I would take a hammer to those.
Oh my god. Anyways, yeah. So Bill and Ted's 2 got that soundtrack. I got that soundtrack. It was cool. I love the Bill and Ted movies. So, anyways, bringing it back to Keanu Reeves though, it's perfect to me. Like he was really, really great with the Matrix movies because of what the Matrix movies did, and excuse me, he was really great in being that character, being Keanu Reeves, and making it cool. And then I think with John Wick 2, there was that other layer of, wow, he can actually play this person that's just so precise, and he's that Avatar character. Yeah.
But he's still. I think they have that level, but there's also a whole other side where I'm feeling for this character, because you're like, well, he's probably got a lot of shit in his life that he should atone for, but he's the one person in this mess that's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like I've seen the light. I want to walk away from it. I know I'll probably get killed, but it's in my nature to not to survive. But this whole time it's just these assholes who are like trying to like layer it on, and the whole time he's just is Ian McShane is just watching. He's like,
what a great character actor that dude is.
I love Ian McShane.
Yeah,
he's great, and I do love that for his like essentially I guess his role as like this. Mm-hmm. What is he? Manager,
he's like the Don or something. Well,
he's kind of like the peacekeeper, I guess.
Yeah,
he's like the enforcer of the rules of their assassins' rules. But I love that because he was awesome in the first one. He's one of my favorite things about the first movie, and he was just as good as this. Maybe he had a little bit more of a role. Mm-hmm. But also Franco Nero was his like Italian counterpart of like the hotel dude in Italy.
Like I like that they had like a home base to go to, and they just kind of provided everything. That's another thing with like video games. Is like he had a home base that he went to. Nope, like you don't know what this place. You're like, wait a minute, he's going to this place. He checks in, and everybody's cool, and they know who he is. And then suddenly you have this old school like those bank teller things, like and sending messages and using birds. That's the other thing too. That's very like Assassin's Creed, like where they were like using birds and like pigeons and so. That was very, very video game like. Like he could just go back and like recharge, and load up on whatever he wanted to, and he was testing out. You get to go through the many systems of like testing out all the different weapons. That was the other cool thing. Yeah. With John, did they do that in the first John Wick, where they like, he didn't, because it was all about his vengeance.
It was just anger.
Yeah.
On video.
Yeah, his arsenal was kept in his
So
basement.
John Wick 2, they actually like he goes through all these like tailored weapon, and he's like checking everything out, and like it was cool. It was much better gun kata or gun fu than Equilibrium.
You
Fighting
shut
words.
Your mouth.
Fighting words.
You too?
I haven't seen John Wick 2 yet, even though we're talking about it.
Come on.
Equilibrium has
awesome.
lessened, in my opinion, they've late.
Over time.
I loved it. Well, I loved it. I
like Kurt Wimmer, just saying, but...
No, I think it's good, but it's one of those movies that was great. I think it was great in its time, was not appreciated. I loved it then.
Because it came out too close to The Matrix.
Yeah, I think it's that, but also it's... I mean, it's true for a lot of movies that are pretty good, but it just feels like...
Like Rob Roy and Braveheart.
Take all those... Oh, yeah, it's too soon. Rob Roy is...
Rob Roy's great.
Highly underrated.
Prestige, dude. Prestige is a great film, and it was...
The Prestige versus The Illusionist?
I never did see The Illusionist. I need to see I need to rewatch Prestige because I love The Prestige. But
my problem with The Prestige is
have
like literally less than 5 minutes in the movie after I figure out like, oh, I know it's gonna happen, and then it happened. You're like, it happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I don't know. That sucks for me. Like I wish I want to read the book though. Apparently the book is.
Yeah, the book has. I started the book. I think it's been a long time. It's like 2005. But
anyway,
there's a whole other future story. It's like the ancestors of those characters are like reading. The history. So there's another layer, and I wish they'd done that.
Tesla and all that kind of stuff. So it's cool. But anyways, yeah, John Wick 2.
David Bowie.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
What else about John Wick 2 that was cool? So.
Did you like the parts where his fist went into the other person's face?
There was a few bits of that.
The punching was fun,
and the knife stabbing, and
dude, I do love that they took. They matched the greatness of the Joker pencil scene and took it to like 3 times.
Yeah, just using everyday objects.
I love how the first movie it's kind of the running gag. The fucking pencil. And then there was kind of
Peter Stormare.
And then Peter Stormare does that line because the actor,
the
Russian in the first movie, the boss who's going after, says it like a couple times. And then Peter Stormare does it in his like
Baba Yaga. Come on.
With the fucking pencil.
It's great. Over the top. It's like very archetype, characters that are
And then he uses a pencil to extremely brutal effect. You finally see the pencil trick.
It's good payoff.
It's everything you wanted.
Yeah. So
there were gasps.
Yeah.
gasps are where it's at.
Yeah, so super awesome movie. Let's move on to Cure for Wellness. So we saw Cure for Wellness, and Gore Verbinski came in and gave us some time to talk about this movie. So did you know about the BioShock project?
I think we talked about it a little bit, that he was working on it and it didn't happen. But I think that's about all I know. You were kind of wondering if maybe some of that would kind of wash into Cure for Wellness, because it's like we were talking about Halo. And District
Blomkamp.
Yeah,
Blomkamp. So Gore Verbinski was slated to do BioShock, which I was really excited about because he had already done the first Pirates of the Caribbean reboot. Like, everybody was kind of thinking about, oh, how does this ride translate into a movie world? And then they world built it, and it was awesome. Just regardless,
nailed it.
Yeah, it could have been Pirates, it could have been whatever. He just they got the right tone, right?
And I guess it was just a few years before, he, in my opinion, did the only. I haven't seen all of them, but of all the more recent wave of Asian horror cinema that's been adapted for, remade for Hollywood, The Ring. When I went back and watched Ringu, The Ring I think is a better film. Mm-hmm. You can fight me on that, but he wrapped things up enough that it wasn't too connected, like, oh, super Hollywood, but it was more so than The Ringu, and that movie just nails mood.
He has a great tone, and he's a very visual director, which I love.
The opening shots actually kind of reminded me of The Ring, because it's those just shots of the skyscrapers, but it's this early morning. Yeah, it's got a greenish hue.
He kind of has that. Let's say it's cliche to say Kubrick, but he definitely has that feel of minimalism and sleek design to tell this, to tell a story. But he's just a visual director, so obviously he storyboards his own stuff, and the likes of Ridley Scott and Zack Snyder, and lots of other directors that do that. It really pays off. You can actually see that, and jumping into Cure for Wellness, that was pretty amazing. It's very visually in sync. It was great. But going back to BioShock, so he was slated to do BioShock, and they were looking at $100 to $200 million production. They were going to go forward with this thing, and then
you ask him about it.
Well, apparently the thing was that he wanted to make it R. And this is just hearsay. So from what I was hearing, he wanted to make it R rated, and I guess push the story of where it should have gone tonally and keep it consistent with that. But then they fought back and said no. And I think people were still thinking about the video game culture of kids that grew up. A lot of the executives don't seem to think about that, or they didn't before. I think now with Netflix taking on Castlevania and stuff like that, right. I think that's a great step. But that's a whole other thing.
Anything is possible.
True.
We're moving into that realm of
and Stranger Things, I think just paving the way for, in Kung Fury. Actually, I feel those movies are paving the way for nostalgia to come back, where it's okay that things don't have to look perfect, but they can look really, really stylized. Yeah. So I can only imagine video game movies actually starting to be really, really good, because we can own it a lot more than we used to be able to. Just superhero movies.
I feel a lot of both video game and superhero movies are pretty bland visually. They might. They're not all, but that's kind of a running thing. Especially the video game movies is it's cheesy, but I still love the original Mortal Kombat because it knows it's a colorful spectacle and it doesn't hide it. And
the soundtrack was pretty kick-ass back in the day.
But
unlike this current soundtrack of a helicopter.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. We're waiting for the. It's already happened. It's
Hold for helicopter.
Yeah.
C'est la vie. But you would ask him about.
So
was BioShock an influence? And
I guess I don't know if it was with I don't know if it was with Disney that they did that they started to do a lot of the development for BioShock, but then when he wanted to make it R, they said no and scrap the project. And he said 8 weeks before production they actually went into it, and it's interesting because similarly when you look at what happened with Neil Blomkamp and Halo, you just wonder, because those movies come out pretty within a year or two timeline of something being announced. Once it's announced, that was kind of brewing, so people are already probably preparing for that. They were probably preparing another script because you don't want to let all of that pre-production money just go. So you want to develop another story, and so in some senses, it feels like District 9 was really the story like you wanted to tell, maybe, you know, and it was about apartheid and things like that they probably didn't want to tackle in Halo.
Yeah.
They wanted to tackle stuff that everybody was going to get, so that wide audience, but like saturation. And I feel like that's, if they did that with BioShock, it would have been a flop. Absolutely would have been a flop, because BioShock was never about saturation. It was about a very niche feeling, and the video game culture just embraces that because we embrace the different looks and themes and things that are bold, right?
I mean, that's
what
draws me to a first person,
yeah,
third person type shooter, or whatever you would adventure, what
yeah,
you would classify it. Is, you know, same thing with like Half-Life. Is I want someone's distinct vision. I don't want the same old. That's, you know, there are certain games I'll play for a kind of, you know, more cookie cutter experience, which is not a bad thing. You know, sometimes you want something familiar, just a fun game, but.
I think we should tie Half-Life into every conversation.
Half-Life
is the greatest game ever.
Half-Life is involved in every conversation.
Just have a crowbar on the table.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh my god, yeah. Half-Life relates to everything. It's Half-Life. Yeah, anyways. But yeah, I completely agree. So, like, Don't
let us down, JJ. Don't let us down.
I want to do Half-Life. It would be so great.
Don't let us down.
Yeah. I wonder if the
take care of him.
Yeah. So.
Oh. Slightly off topic, but I don't give a fuck. Did you see Castle Rock?
Oh yeah. That's true. I mean, we were
like
excited to talk about that. No, we totally talk about it. I mean, there's not much to show, but it definitely JJ is like, you know, he has that Spielberg influence, and I think like the '80s high style like blockbuster feel is coming back, but maybe it's coming back for TV.
Yeah.
So.
We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, they're hunting somebody
looking
down.
for somebody.
Yeah.
Those meth labs.
Yeah.
Either that or it's a Jerry Bruckheimer produced movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you never know, man.
A Jerry Bruckheimer film.
Up in Pasadena, this is like where, you know, they all like to.
Well, yeah,
live
there's
shoot,
like the mausoleum. We've
Pasadena Runner.
Let's see, it would be maybe Michael Mann. I don't know.
Maybe.
Who uses a lot of Michael Bay definitely uses helicopters.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Blows them up.
Some Bayhem.
Some Bayhem. I love that. It's so great. Anyways.
So
BioShock didn't happen. Influence on Cure for Wellness, and we're going to like. So I asked him about that, and he says like, yeah, you're not the first to, you know, like try to make that influence because of the steampunk feel. So there is a steampunk feel, Cure for Wellness, and then there's also the idea of water being a theme, which it was definitely a theme in Cure for Wellness. There was
there were a lot of themes, and again, it's one of those things where there are definitely they're concepts, at least, if not themes, that I think cross over. But I feel like he did. If there was an influence, I mean, you can't say there's no influence to something once you've worked on the thing. Like, it's kind of in your head.
I would think so, yeah.
But I feel like he definitely tried to take it. It wasn't like, let's just thinly veil this story that I want to tell. I didn't feel like it was that. I definitely felt that he was telling a different story that had some similarities, but
story-wise, there are some weird things that happen in Cure for Wellness, and it's just like tonally weird. Those are like, you know, I don't know how it's interesting to see that they went in the direction they did with like the incestuous relationship, and it was all very like grandiose, dark romance, horror.
It was sort of a little bit of Frankenstein mythos, a little bit of vampire mythos, a little bit of just mad scientist.
Mad scientist, definitely.
But also like almost, but it was still sort of. I feel like it was trying to tackle materialism.
It was dark and sexual in a weird way, where they kind of they did. I mean, they you know, you had this.
I don't remember the last time I was that uncomfortable in a theater.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying...
You don't go to porn theaters a lot, do you?
No, I don't. I would probably...
Do we even have this anymore?
I'd probably be more...
Yeah, Santa Monica and
the Pussycat still open.
Are you serious?
All over.
Oh, Lord.
Those porn theaters are still there.
Oh, man.
The thing I know about the Pussycat is in the 80s, apparently Lucille Ball and Sammy Davis Jr. would go.
Yeah?
For like midnight screenings.
Naughty.
But yeah. No, I'm trying to think the last time I was in a theater. I'm not saying it was the most shocking film I've ever seen, but the last time I was in a theater with a bunch of people that I was like...
Gone Girl, probably.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Gone Girl was...
It was like a Takashi Miike type of like audition, like,
But Gone Girl...
Shock.
I was eating that up. I was having a ball, and people were getting kind of, and I was like, hey, hey, hey. This one made me go, ooh.
Like Old Boy, ooh.
Yeah.
Like Old Boy, ooh.
Like-
the reveal of Old Boy.
Yeah.
Which,
That was,
yeah.
It was like that, but
We're talking about the real Old Boy, not some Spike.
I didn't see the
it
other.
was,
Yeah.
I did see the Spike Lee one, and I think the reveal is more troubling in the
Really?
Spike Lee one. Yeah.
I mean, I might watch it, but it's also a Spike Lee.
Do you want me to spoil it for you?
No.
Wait, they
don't
changed
spoil
it?
for anyone.
They took a similar theme, but they enlarged it, which made it even more like.
Like his
His thingy?
I'm trying to remember how much they.
His Dagon?
Oh, that's a
No,
good
it's
one.
Yeah?
That's a good one.
I
That's
mean,
a good
I don't
one,
know.
too.
When they come out and say it, like
Nah.
it doesn't. I mean, it's still the same plot. So
Do you wanna
it's
watch
not
it?
Spoiled, but
We can,
I feel like both of you just don't want to see it.
I'll see it. I don't care. I'll see it
I
anyways.
like Spike Lee. He's not like my favorite, but he's. I mean, Inside Man is amazing. I like Do the Right
That is
Thing.
great,
Um,
but I feel like that script more or less.
I just,
I don't
man, Old Boy was a perfect movie. Why remake it?
that's what I said, and he did a much better job than I expected.
Right.
I feel like it kind of stands on its own. It's
Sympathy
not as
for Mr.
good.
Vengeance, I could see being.
That was it.
I don't
can
think
see
it's as
that.
good, but it's different enough, and he's got some really great visuals in that. But yeah, no, basically he just took the one of the because there's two shocks in Old Boy. There's like the reason why and oh, what have I done? The reason why is much more disturbing than in the original. I think the original's like, oh, this is sort of
I'm darkly intrigued.
sort
Like,
of weird, but
yeah.
but it was actually closer to Cure for Wellness. It was a little bit closer to that.
Okay.
All
right.
But you know, like with the whole
see
family.
These things. I have not seen any of the movies that we were talking about, except for Bloodsport. I definitely have seen Bloodsport many times.
Yeah, dude. Bloodsport. No Retreat, No Surrender. Have you seen that?
I have seen
Lee Daka. Oh, why did I call him Lee Daka? Those weird names.
So yeah, Cure
Bruce
for
Lee
Wellness.
didn't even look like Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
Dude, yeah, he did not even a Bruce Lee. Like that
Bruce Lee?
that Bruce Lee looked like
Bruce Lou.
Jim Bob Lee.
Jim Bob
Yeah, they
Lee.
found him like, this Filipino guy. He wasn't even like
Like a butterfly.
Have you ever seen No Retreat, No Surrender? Oh my god.
Yes,
It's Jean-Claude
I
Van
think
Damme's
so.
first movie that he won't say is his first movie. He says Bloodsport is his first movie. And it's like, no. No Retreat, No Surrender is your first movie. Own it, dude. Come on. Like, you have to own it.
Italian Stallion.
Yeah, you have to own it. It's great. It's great. It's okay that it's I don't know, he's much better I think now because like his movies now are just like tonally awesome.
Oh, he seems
I
like
love
he
Van Damme.
has 100% can take
Yeah.
make fun of himself, which I love.
Yeah, you have to. And it's,
why I love him,
It just
that's why I
makes it
love
more
Dolph.
well-rounded.
All respect to.
I mean, I respect him a lot more now that I've seen him do the splits between two trucks.
That's one way to do it.
Anyways, let's go back to Cure for Wellness. Yeah, so the
Turning into my other podcast.
whatever.
Candyland.
Yeah, so you have this girl who definitely looks underage.
Yeah.
And then there's the payoff though at the end is that you get to see her like kind of semi-naked and there's like this rape scene and
Well,
almost rape scene, but then they get I don't know, like
Still-
it
it's
was
still-
I could see that they were definitely going for like she was innocent and then that
Slug
arc
man
Yeah.
is trying to rape
the dad like that arc kind of like okay so then it's shocking and it should be shocking and so you receive it that way or whatever but I don't know it's not a review of the movie but those are some of the things that like I was kind of going in on and kind of just questioning it but I think I'm glad that they he took a bold he took a bold direction with it.
It's not cookie cutter or safe or any of those things. And I think it is like it's
I think it's a little safe.
I mean, it's a little safe in some ways, but in terms of, I guess if that was his vision, I don't feel like he cut any corners. He had some pretty dark stuff. And
The interesting thing is I was trying to compare it. You played the first BioShock. You haven't.
No.
Have you played?
I was trying to hide that fact during this conversation.
Were you really? Oh
like-
my gosh.
So here's the thing:
played
I have
BioShock
it. I have
Infinite.
it, and it crashed when I tried to play it a couple years ago. Like when I first got it.
John, I have BioShock and BioShock 2 on the PS3. We should do that.
No, I have it. And I can play it now.
we can,
But
yeah, we can play through. Like
No, you need to watch me play it.
I beat it, and it's kind of this reverse Ayn Randian. Like it's about the utopia of capitalism gone wrong, which actually that's a cool direction because if you look at I didn't beat BioShock 2, but if you look at BioShock Infinite, man, what an have you haven't played that one?
But I've seen a little bit of it. But
Have
I
you
don't know
played?
the plot?
Have you beat?
Played a little
Dude,
bit.
BioShock Infinite is so good, and it's very very boldly political in political philosophies. Right? You have like the anarchist revolutionists, and you've got like the fascist type. You have these different archetypes that you kind of play through, but in the end, and I'm not going to ruin it, but it goes way beyond that, and the story encompasses a type of like
A bigger
thing.
philosophy.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it like that because you should play it, and you should kind of be wowed. Like when I played that and I got to this certain point, I was like, it all tied together, and you're just like, holy fuck, there's so much cool stuff that they do to this. And getting into Assassin's Creed 2, and I know that's kind of like another thing. We'll talk about that in a second, but I had that same kind of revelation, like, you know, and this is the
Assassin's Creed Revelations.
no, it wasn't a Revelations, it was 2, but yeah, 2 Revelations in one video cast.
It's the meme.
Yeah.
It's the meme of
The one thing about BioShock, right? So BioShock has this like reverse Ayn Randian utopia gone wrong, and setting up with that theme already is kind of a bold theme, and you get to discover the world and see how it is that way. And you definitely notice that if they were to make that into a movie, what would that message actually be, and would it be like pertinent to that? Would they go in that direction? Because that's pretty much what that story is about. But then you go and think about the cure for wellness, and I try to think about there. It doesn't see if you could stretch out into some type of like political meaning, but how in other ways, how does it actually relate to what BioShock was going to be? And that descent into madness bit was something that I thought could have been interesting in the tone of going into a philosophical descent into madness. Maybe if they were to do that with like BioShock to kind of cue that in. And since you guys haven't played the games through, you get to see. I mean, there's
he definitely did that with the movie, but it felt like he started and then got to a certain point and then didn't explore it anymore. He turned it into Haunted House, Mad Scientist. Maybe I was missing something.
And there's a little bit of
like the sickness is materialism. You're never happy. Like it felt like he was kind of going in that direction, and then he just kind of like full stop.
Yeah, that's true.
But
and then how do you feel about the haunted house aspect? Or then I'm sorry, not the haunted house aspect. The Lovecraftian tone, because he kind of mentioned that like he had this Lovecraftian tone to it.
I feel like he got the tone, but it wasn't the content. It was just the feeling of like this dread of.
I didn't get interdimensional horror. I didn't get cosmic horror out of that.
But it felt like kind of like almost there was a certain level of kind of like The Shining of like this place.
Yeah,
you can't leave this place, and you're like, well, of course it can, and you sort of can, but not really. Once you've been there, like it's almost like if you had left it, you kind of. I feel like the ending, without giving spoilers, kind of indicates that maybe that place is. I mean, it's real. Obviously, it's not like The Shining where it's like I've always been here, but once you've been to that place in your mind, you can't.
What were those
get rid of it.
creatures?
The slugs?
Was it?
The
Yeah, the little slugs.
The eels?
Or were they eels?
I think they were supposed to be eels.
Yeah, because they.
Yeah,
That was
the eels live for.
that mouth. That was probably the most effective. See, I'm doing like that mouth thing. That was probably the most effective.
Those weren't eels, by the way.
But I think that was probably the most effective scene for me. Is like when he's they force him to gag on
for
that.
me,
and it
had did several different types of make you uncomfortable. Like, and really, in the whole bag is the teeth.
Yeah.
The gagging on eels and incest.
It's a very sexual. There's definitely a lot of very sexual tones, and weirdly taboo sexual tones that
it felt like it almost wanted to be shock value, but it didn't quite get to that. It was still.
It kind of sounds like it's ripping a little bit off of Alien.
There's
I think there's some
in a different theme,
right? Because Alien's very sexual horror, like but Alien had a very Alien had a very feminist agenda. Like they're not agenda, but Alien had a very feminist theme because of the sexualization and the rape similarities and how they do it as this monster, this monstrous figure. That's why Geiger's stuff looked very phallic and things like that. But Cure for Wellness didn't really.
Birth and all that,
Geiger's is just a strange person in general. Have you heard the H.R. Giger's? The thing.
What, the Riley Sconch?
Yes.
Yeah. Who was that? Super Ego, I think. did that. I think it was Super Ego.
Was it Super Ego? Yeah, it's glorious.
The impersonation
I'll have to see this.
I played it for the impersonation of H.R. Geiger.
Oh, right. And the thing is the blue.
Son, no, I'm talking to the heliotropic being in the sky.
Yeah.
Tim? No.
I'm talking to the planet Tim.
It's pretty great.
But yeah, unless you have anything else to say about wellness. Speaking of Alien, I feel like what you were telling me about Assassin's Creed 2 and Alien Covenant kind of ties in together, actually.
Well, more than that, do you know the story, like Assassin's Creed? Besides,
I know the story. I played through the first two. And
oh, you did beat the second one.
And I unofficially did some things with the Native American one, but I guess I don't know if I can say it or not. Whatever.
Well, let's just talk about 2, up to 2, because I do want to play it. Because I love the
end of episode.
So
Tune in next week.
Yeah. And so frequency infinity.
Same bad time, same bad channel.
Yeah. Okay, so I know this is like going back into old, because Assassin's Creed 2 has been out for how long? It's been out for a while. But I just started playing it
Back in my day, Assassin's Creed was...
But it's relevant because the movie came out, just 2 months ago and 3 months ago?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so...
You were much disappointed.
Well, yes. But I was... So let me backtrack. So, like, playing Assassin's Creed for the first time on PS3 was really great because it was... You get to see this kind of historical accuracy mixed in with this kind of world build and conspiracy theory, but it's a lot of the stuff that people were talking about and how to deal with the future and unlocking potential and DNA and history and memories. Excuse me. And I like that they actually played with real history because it grounds you in this type of lore and it allows you to kind of take this other level and go like, did this, was this something that could possibly have happened? And there's a little bit of reality to it that they do a good job with, painstaking detail into history and stuff like that. So like once the first one ended the way it did, there was kind of like the Matrix potential of this character suddenly like he doesn't need the Animus. He can now go and he's like Neo. He's like, holy shit, I can actually like I see these things that are crossing over. And then in the end of the first one, he sees all of these different objects and symbols that are represented throughout our own human history. And so first you're talking about going from the Animus in this future world, very sleek, utopia-like, world, but then there's like, Abstergo is like this company that runs the organization and stuff. I don't know. Am I spoiling this all for you? Like
we've already talked about this.
Okay, so yeah, that's true.
At least in passing.
But yeah, that's right. Because when I first beat it, I was like, holy crap, I got to talk about this.
I may or may not play them, not because I have no reason to not, but I just have a long list of games to play.
Yeah, so
you should definitely play it because stabbing people in the face is hilarious.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So
Signore.
Yeah, hey, Signore, walking by with like a basket of stuff, and I meant to like go and assassinate this guy. I wish I had video of that because I was like going after this. He's like, and then she's like, ah, and you're like, shh, it's okay.
Very
And I was like, oh,
Please,
wrong one,
please.
my button. Like I shouldn't have hit it so soon. Yeah. Anyways, so Assassin's Creed, mind blown. I was like, wow, really great. Assassin's Creed 2 definitely takes it up another notch. Like there's the history that you play in the like 1400s in Italy was really engaging, and you got to learn a little bit about real history. You got to learn a little bit about the Medici and things like that. So cool. Then it goes into, and this is like obviously major spoiler for the end. So as you're playing through, you have this. You actually have to go to the Vatican, like you go to Rome after you go through all that stuff, and then from that, I know it's been around for a while, so like the fact that we're talking about this is whatever. People are like, "Where the hell you been?"
Spoilers from what 2007, 8,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah, exactly. So
Spoilers
then
from
you go
almost
into
a decade ago,
right. Then you go into Rome, and then from Rome you get to go to the Vatican, and then you have to literally like you have your Apple of Eden, which if you complete all these different things, there is this. Did you finish and see all the video of Adam and Eve in the future? This like future world. So you actually go and you get to see all these symbols, and then once you connect all those symbols, it creates a small video where it shows Adam and Eve type of characters, and they're running through and doing like parkour, but they're naked, but you see whatever, and they're running through this like weird utopia future world, and then they scale some stuff, and they see these other humans, and they're like working, and then they climb up over them, and then they go and they look over the top. It's like they have escaped this working class, whatever it was, and then they have like light lines, so it looks like they're parts some cyborg whatever, and you're like, this is Adam and Eve, but it's really the past. We're talking about the future.
It's not Adam and Steve.
It wasn't Adam and Steve. No, I mean it might have been.
It's the future we're talking about.
Yeah, but it was not the future. It was the past. It was like the origin. So there's like there's a
Time
hint
is
of like
a circle.
Yeah, there's a hint of there's a hint of like an origin story of our own humanity, and these are like humans were these like super being, but they weren't really humans. Maybe I don't know.
Paradise Regained.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that, but then when you're at the end and you have this mysterious object that looks like it comes from this far distant future, and it has all these crazy things that it shows you and does, and it's all very cryptic. They're all trying to protect it, and all the different facts are trying to like get to it. You go with it, and then the Pope has like the staff, and he's like, you have like the missing part or whatever, and you fight him, and then he puts the thing in the staff, and then you fight different versions of yourself. So it's like now you're dealing with Assassin's Creed, you're dealing with like Ezio, but then it multiplies into like 5 Ezios. And it just, the tone shift is really interesting because you're kind of like foreshadowing it of the technology because you're playing through. You're from the future, but you're playing through an Ezio. And they're talking to you and they're telling you all this stuff. And then there's this other character who's trying to like hack into your own DNA or left imprints in your DNA as clues as to like, no, there's a reality, there's a revolution, there's like, this is a whole other level, the level underneath the level kind of thing. And so after you go in the Vatican, you get to go into this, like underneath the Vatican, there's like this secret like tunnel thing, and you go down there and it's like this futuristic looking spaceship type of thing or whatever, and you literally beat the shit out of the Pope. You literally beat the shit out with hands, and he's a Spanish Pope, and he's like, Spaniards invading Italy, and like there was this whole thing, and you have no weapons.
The Pope is a
There's
Spaniard?
no weapons. You're like punching him and like uppercutting him, and I was like, Shoryuken. Yeah, dude. And he would like grab him, and he's like,
was there not some kind of public outcry? I don't remember there being. I feel like
I felt that it was like, wow, they put this in a game.
But I guess if he's a Spaniard, you can beat the shit out of him.
I guess so. I don't know. But it was
false Pope.
Yeah. And there was definitely the corruption in the Vatican, and they talk about these things that I think probably happened in history. I mean, I don't know. I wish like whatever, but
you would better,
Yeah.
Finish this thought.
So after you beat him up, then this other door opens, and then it goes into this room that...
It's out again.
God
It's out again.
What about mine?
Yours is still going.
Let's just keep rolling. Let's finish this up and wrap it.
Okay.
You're almost
Yeah, I'm almost done.
So it opens up. It's like
it opens up, and you get to see suddenly you see Earth, and you see all these different planets, and you're around it, and then it goes to this level of like celestial beings. And there are these old celestial beings that relied on the sun. And there's like, they talk about the sun gods and things like that. And then you're kind of like, wait a minute. So there's this whole level of like ancient history of aliens that had possibly were trying to help seed us in the right direction, but we're kind of screwing it up. And then there's this whole level that was just super amazing. And just going back and comparing that to the movie, so you can see like how it actually ends. I don't want to talk about the details because I think it could probably talk a lot more about how cool it was that they're zooming out and seeing that there's a much bigger ancient history that could actually possibly exist. Some people might think that. Some people like ancient alien theory and things like that. So totally cool that they wrap that in there. And jumping into the movie, it was none of that. Like, it didn't have any of those qualities of holy shit moments that you really, really wanted, even though the movie looked... I think it was a little bit too blue. I think the color, they probably could have toned down some of the color tones. But it was shot...
Was it straight out of 2000, like early 2000s blue filter?
What was interesting, both, my dad and my best friend like fell asleep in the movie, and it's like, it's an action movie. That sucks. Like, I think just having that as an eye strain, I think could probably...
Cast.
It wasn't like True Romance, like, cause it was, if you think of it like a Tony Scott movie, you get to see these really brilliant neons. Did they both go?
No.
Okay. So, I wish that they had that element of much bigger story development, world build in the first Assassin's Creed as a movie, and then just kind of like tone up this whole video game to movie adaptations. If you see what's really, really great about video games, because video games are nothing more than like your interactive graphic design, and the stories that you can tell are all influenced by these worlds that you're in and the colors, and on a primal level, there's a lot more that you're actually interacting with. But when you look at the stories are just as rich, and they can be, and you add a certain level to it. And I wish that people that are developing these really paid attention to how movies are developed in the same cadence as the way video game stories are pushing to the next level. Because we could tell these stories, and we can make movies out of these really brilliant ideas. Like, even like we played like The Last of Us, like we were all geeking over The Last of Us because it was like, man, this is a meta story that just had so much value that it can be translated into a film if you were to tell those adult stories and be authentic in a lot of those things. And I wish they had that crossover.
I mean, Logan might be The Last of Us. I mean, if you
it looks like
take a
it,
look
right?
at it, like, have you seen Maggie yet?
No, I need
You
to.
need to see Maggie.
Yeah.
Maggie is pretty close to like the same tone as like The Last of Us. It's got mixed reviews, but I love it.
Yeah, I'll check it out. But
Logan next week.
there you go. Yeah.
Next week, Logan.
So John Wick 2 did a really good job, right, of taking some of those other visceral elements and translating that. It works beautifully, and I think people eat it up. Like, people want to see that kind of that precision and that, you know, amazing kind of quality that I think video games also kind of share that when people watch esports or they watch somebody that's really, really good at something. Sound like something fell there. That it pays off. I wish Assassin's Creed did the same. It didn't, but
it's frustrating because I believe that video game adaptations to film really should work because they can. I mean, even on some of the earlier ones. I mean, yeah. Again, I've said how kind of hokey Mortal Kombat is, but I still love it. It's still a fun movie.
I saw it in the theater, and I was like, yeah, people were digging it.
I finally got around to seeing the original Silent Hill film, and it's pretty
Silent
amazing.
Hill was good.
It's pretty amazing.
Christoph Gans and Roger Avery. I was like, oh, these two guys working together.
It's baffling to me when people are like, oh, I'll slap this thing together. I mean, maybe I know every film production is it's a whole lot of work, but I'm always surprised when I see one that just felt like they just kind of like, let's do this because we need to do it. I don't know. I feel like if I was in charge of something, even if it was like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to make this great, but I want to because, people don't expect it. We should expect it, but unfortunately we don't because that's what we've been given for the most part.
What's the next video game to movie or TV? I guess it was Castlevania, right?
Castlevania is the one on Netflix.
Fingers
Metal Gear
crossed.
Solid is probably never going to happen because they've been talking about it for like the last 10 years.
Kurt Russell's going to die sometime.
They're not going to get Kurt Russell. That was Kojima who wanted Kurt Russell.
Of course. I mean, it
he's out of the
shows.
picture, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I feel like there was one other one coming out soon.
We'll figure that out.
Candy Crush, the movie. That's
Emojis, the movie.
Emojis. That's not a game, though. That's just people playing mind games.
It's a mind game.
Yeah. It's a mind game.
They better make the happy shit, like Emoji, a really cool character.
Oh, the happy baby?
You know who that is?
No.
Patrick Stewart.
What?
He's playing the poop emoji.
What?
Wait, this is real?
Yeah, there is an emoji movie, and Patrick Stewart is playing the poop emoji.
All right. Well, we're going to watch that.
What a time to be alive.
Are you on IMDb, video game movies?
Emojis are interesting. Like, this is the last diatribe I think I'll go on, but emojis are future hieroglyphics. We're gonna start speaking in images again, which we already are.
We already are.
So if you think about that, we're going back into this pictographic language that we're creating. It's pretty cool. Is that Altered Beast?
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Supposedly Altered Beast is in production.
I can see Altered Beast being turned into a movie. I don't know what it's going to be. I can just see people will be like, yeah, let's make that a movie.
Angry Birds 2, Assassin's Creed 2.
Oh, no,
really?
please.
Asteroids.
I mean, Michael Fassbender, and please learn.
It should be Michael Bay directing Asteroids.
Exactly.
So, I think the producer... No, Bioshock's creator, Ken Levine, seems to indicate... Bioshock may still happen, but...
No, he lied to me. He said Bioshock would come to the Vita. He lied to me.
Oh, well.
I can't.
It went to iOS, and then it didn't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Borderlands could be amazing. I don't know who's doing that.
Borderlands is being made into a movie.
Avi Arad.
Oh,
Nari
Jesus.
Arad.
I love that too much. I can't.
Borderlands, yeah.
Borderlands is amazing.
Everything I've seen of Borderlands, I feel like that would work, but Call of Duty Cinematic Universe.
Oh, what? Really? Call of Duty? What are we referencing here? Oh, this is Den of Geek.
Den of Geek.
All right, so
Den of
put a
Geek.
link.
I'll put the link in the
Den of Geek.
Centipede. There's just about Dante's Inferno. That'd be
Dante's Inferno.
Detective
Dante's
Pikachu.
Inferno would be great as a movie.
I won't lie, I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm excited for Detective Pikachu. I mean, come on.
You know that awkward silence that happens when... No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I don't know. Like,
Pikachu, his little,
Yeah,
his
yeah.
little Sherlock hat.
No, actually, it would be kind of
Trailer
fun.
for
Deus
the-
Ex.
the Detective Pikachu.
oh, that's right.
You
Deus
better
Ex.
not.
Is it Scott Derrickson?
Scott Derrickson. Oh, yeah.
That's
that
that's
could be
cool.
good. Devil May Cry. Interesting. The Division. Far Cry. Dude, Far Cry, if they do that right, that could be real fun.
Far Cry
Firewatch.
could be
Firewatch. Isn't Firewatch
Far
a
Cry
movie?
is basically a movie already, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Is that a robot?
No, I think somebody's cutting something.
Okay.
Fruit Ninja.
Ninja.
That's actually going to be a ninja, probably. Or he's
Gears
Gears of
a
War.
very happy ninja.
I get it.
So here's my thing.
I went there.
I have not played Gears of War. I have no real.
Oh.
I have no real interest in it.
Oh,
Gears of
you
War.
need
One.
to
I
play
played all
Gears
three of
War.
them. Yeah.
I
Well,
might come
I'm
across
good
as
for
a little like snobby about it just because it just doesn't excite me. But I'm not going to rain on anyone's parade. But I would watch a Gears of War movie if Michael Bay directed it.
No, actually,
Gears of War.
No, it
for
shouldn't
me
be
is
Michael
like
Bay.
The evolution of what Duke Nukem should have become.
That's
that.
fair.
But also,
That's
Gears of War would have been cool with Aliens 2 James Cameron era.
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah,
should have
sure.
that kind of tone. I think would really work for a Gears of like a really intense.
No way, man.
Yeah, that would be great to have.
No way.
Something of that like super aggro kind of
God of War.
God of War.
God
Alright.
of War.
The Wolfman screenwriter.
There's a lot of stuff being developed. So it's cool. It's like older properties.
I mean,
Oh, Half-Life.
Don't let me down, whoever. What was that?
what if it was Uwe Boll? Afterlife 2 by Uwe
What would
Boll.
be a great movie for him to make that you think would just
a great Uwe Boll
video
he
game?
did Alone in the Dark, and it had
I didn't see it.
potential to be good. It's a bad movie, but the last 5 minutes of like the reveal is great. Besides that, it's terrible straight to DVD like movie that should never exist.
Sounds like they really are still working on it.
It would have to be something really dumb for Uwe Boll. Like the concept has to be so ridiculous.
Didn't he do Postal?
He did Postal.
He did.
And
Postal's already
Alone in the
dumb.
Dark
Did-
and
did-
House of the Dead. That was like his first movie.
Oh,
Did-
that's right. He did House of the Dead.
Did
Didn't he do Blood Rain? No.
Yes.
No, he did.
Yes.
The first one, right?
And he got like Jason Statham. Oh no, that was
Oh.
what was it?
Jason Statham was an Uwe Boll movie. And so was he had a Christian Slater in Alone in the Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he gets people.
That
who
German
are
tax
worth
money, you know?
There's tax incentives. I mean, he's.
Did you see when he beat up that, or
Did you see when
he had to box one of his
he
critics?
yelled at everyone on like Kickstarter because he was trying to raise money for his new movie? He just started yelling at everyone. He goes on a tirade. He gets angry that his Kickstarter didn't get funded, so he uploaded a new Kickstarter video telling everyone to screw themselves.
I like when he literally was like, "I will fight you" to his critics, and
They
a
boxed
critic
or
decided to
whatever.
get into the ring with him. Oh, crazy. Hey man, whatever. It's cool.
I like this though. I want to think about this new Uwe Boll like video game adaptation.
What
Did
video game adaptation
Maybe this
would
is
be
for the-
great for
this is for
Uwe
the
Boll?
viewers.
leave it in the comments. What video game would you like to see Uwe Boll approach?
What do you think would be really great for his the movie that makes him amazing as because he it's like misunderstood guidance. It's like, oh wait, there's a tangent for Uwe Boll here, but really he should have done
Heavy
this, and then boom, it just synergy happens.
Heavy Rain? Heavy Rain?
Explosion.
No, Uwe Boll does Heavy Rain.
No,
Wouldn't
no,
it be
no,
the
no.
same thing? Sorry, I never played it. I shouldn't bash it.
Oh.
I've seen people play it, and it's not my
What's
thing.
a really dumb movie? What's a really dumb video game?
So, one thought to leave us with on that line of thought, whatever. You like Manhunt, right?
Manhunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not been adapted yet, has it?
No, don't.
Let's do it. We're cutting this out because we're going to do it.
I've been wanting to do Manhunt and Manhunt 2. I just love... I feel like the Manhunt movies are this really great nod to horror in so many levels and so many ways that they do it. They do it lovingly because they understand that people that play it understand the difference between reality and the violence, and its violence is visceral on that. But just like any movie or video game like that, it's always that it's this you need to be able to tell stories like that if you want to be able to explore those kind of worlds and blah blah blah. I hate all the censorship crap that was surrounded by it because I wish they could have just really explored what video games in adult situations and things like that could happen, and that's what Manhunt kept trying to do. They kept trying to push the boundaries of like, well, this is still just animated stuff. It's it's like somebody drawing dick drawings and like, there's a penis. Like, put an ESRB on there. Like, get it out of there. No dicks. No dicks.
Actually, what was it? The Order 18 something.
Tipper
There
Gordon,
was like
shut
a
your
huge
shit
dong
down.
in that one.
Oh, really? Oh, that's right. You were saying that, yeah.
Yeah, I was watching it intently.
Yeah, you could use your right thumb, man. It's like just swings
Oh,
it,
yeah, it's like-
and you can go up and down with it. Like,
It's
the
just
trigger.
like-
It's like okay.
Well,
On that note,
thank you for watching. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe. You know what to do.
peace and stuff, love,
Peace, love, and
and that trigger button.
headshots.
Headshots.